I think I can begin. I actually was not able to hear you earlier. So hopefully this audio is fine with everyone in the audience. Um, so let me actually begin again. So the title of what I'll be talking about for the next 30 minutes is driving customer digital transformation with data. And this is a topic that I've been really working on. A lot of my customers say, talking about how data strategy and data governance can really help embark many organizations on a digital transformation journey and really make it a lot more successful. A little bit about myself. I've joined Big ID January this year. We focus on data intelligence platform to help with data discovery and really scaling and automating a lot of the data governance activities that's fundamental to digital transformation. Prior to that, I spent 10, 15 years working in the financial services industry, really focusing on data governance, again, strategy, execution, operationalization of governance as it applies to regulations and also as applies to solving business problems. Also the co-author of the AI book led by the FinTech Circle that was published May of this year, and also highly involved in a lot of the data communities, the EDM Council, where I'm a member of the Cloud Adoption Working Group, as well as the Women in Data group as well. So today I'm actually speaking to everyone from my home in New York. I know it's certainly been a really transformational year for everybody. I've been working from home since March of this year, and I think really because of the pandemic, I mean, everyone has really been shifted the way they've worked. A lot of organizations have really accelerated their digital transformation, or forced to accelerate based on the conditions. If you think about some of these statistics that's really happened just in 2020 alone, if you think of the year-over-year growth just in online retailing and shopping, I know like many of you, I've done a lot of my shift in the purchasing instead of it going to the stores, really buying everything on the internet. I buy my groceries and now on the internet. A lot of employees now are working from home, so the telecommuting, that brings into play, data access, data security issues, really forcing a lot of organizations to really increase and improve their security protocols. You think about other aspects of our lives that's also been transformed, going to the doctor, visits to medical providers. There's been an increase as well in that growth in telemedicine. And also, think about in terms of education. Right now, I have my 9-year-old son downstairs learning remotely from home just because of the school situation. So in terms of educational technology, that's also been, vastly, improved. Our, the growth area has been huge just in 2020 alone. And I think it really boils down to, changes in the workforce. I mean, leading up to 2020 as well, I think many organizations have their teams and their offices, working more connected digitally. I mean, in terms of technology, there's been Slack and Microsoft Teams and a lot more different ways that people are communicating and collaborating with each other, regardless of the location. And what does that mean? And for organizations, there's just been more spread in terms of the type of data that's being processed, the actual location of that data, and leading to probably multitudes of data silos and silos of data that's actually used by specific teams. And on top of that, just the burden recently in 2020, the increase in local compliance laws, you talk about privacy, that's all going to impact the way that organizations are managing their data, governing their data, and really putting that structure in place to make sure they're mindful of regulations, but also ensuring that their teams can work collaboratively and productively. So I really believe that data is at the center of the digital transformation that needs to happen. So data regarding people, the people that's needed if working on these data initiatives, and also people in terms of the other teams that's involved in the organization, like legal, compliance, risk. They all need to be involved in helping to drive digital transformation, the processes, and obviously the new emerging technologies that needs to happen to support all this. And I'll be talking about some of these new technologies that's really going to help scale and automate data governance, which is at the core of making data available and accessible to the data consumers, and to making sure that the customers are served well in your organization. So when you think about companies that are further along on the digital transformation journey, what characteristics or what features do they have? I like to think of them as the employees are empowered. They're the employees, the customers, all the stakeholders in the organization are empowered with data, whether that's self-service analytics, whether it's having access to data. That's what's most important for them in order to make timely data decisions, is to have this empowerment. Technology also needs to have a big play in terms of thinking about data as a scalable solution, not think of it anymore as data that's really stuck and only applied to one singular application or system. It's really expanding upon data as an asset. Data is really the fabric, a part of an organization, and needs to be really fluid, and being able to have the identity, and being able to think of it in multiple terms of comparison to different business processes, and being able to make more agile decisions. And the concept of being digitally savvy is also thinking proactively about the customer, really being customer focused and customer centric in terms of the types of solutions and services that needs to be provided for them. Now, why haven't more organizations shifted to this digital transformation? And certainly be talking about a lot of the issues that have bogged down companies in terms of data. But there are also other aspects of this conversation as well. Really shifting the data culture, the data literacy, the level of the understanding of all the people in the organization, understanding how data should be used and leveraged and accessed. It's almost like a whole completely training program that needs to occur, and the way that organizational teams have to work. Really thinking across broad teams, no longer working in silos, but being very cross-functional and having many project teams being able to work effectively. And I said earlier, being really customer-centric, really building innovative products and services, and leveraging new technologies that are now available to really accelerate and to really automate and help reduce a lot of the manual friction that's really bogged down many organizations when it comes to data. Now, I thought this quote was very apt for this conversation, this topic. According to Gartner, through 2022, which is in 2 years, data management manual tasks will be reduced by 45% through the addition of machine learning and automated service level management. And I think this is, really great, and really would accelerate digital transformation, because a lot of the manual tasks today is what is taking up a lot of the resources and the time, and really being able to slow down the adoption of a larger scale data architecture is because of a lot of these manual data tasks. So looking forward to seeing what types of automation is available, and I'll be talking about some of the existing technologies that are available already today for many customers. So part of the digital transformation journey, you think about two very important things. What is the data strategy? And I think a lot of organizations today have the concept in mind of a data strategy, but it's not always aligned with the business and the technology strategy. So really being able to put that together, really understanding the value that's going to be received at the end of the day with this data strategy. Obviously, it's about being able to make faster and more accurate decisions, and I think that's what a lot of the executives in your organization are really honing in on. But to align the data to make sure that it confirms your strategy, confirms the value outcomes, I think that's really important and critical to the conversation that's not being heard today as well. Again, another piece of this is, ultimately digital transformations are here to serve our customers better. We want to be able to provide to them through this digital transformation more personalized products and services, make it unique and specific to their context. A lot of the retail companies, they want to make sure that their marketing is personalized so that it improves and increases, customer loyalty and improves their brand. So they want to make sure that the content that they're serving to the customers, every interaction they have with their customers is highly relevant content. And there are many ways that companies are doing that today through analytics, through predictive modeling. They can understand what specific customer segments what they're looking for based on their profile and their history. But it all comes down to the right data. None of these predictive modelings or analytics will be correct or even accurate, right? If the underlying data that goes behind it is not complete, it's not a holistic view of the actual customer. So let me talk more about the data issues that have bogged down many organizations before they've embarked on a digital transformation. And one of the concepts here is that technology teams have traditionally been the ones to manage, to govern data. And how do they even know, the vast amount of data that's available to them? And, one of the conversations with some of my customers has actually been about, a centralized data team working on data governance. And the reason is that they have, one, they need to know what their data is. Secondly, they need to know where their data is. And thirdly, they want to know the quality of that data. And a technology team that, owns the data, they don't think about the data from a business context. They're thinking about data as simply as where it resides, and they simply find the data based on, writing SQL codes or just writing basic codes. But the problems with data today is, you think about it from, I love this analogy with an iceberg, right? So the data that is found in relational databases, the data that's easily queryable, is actually the very top, the very tip of the iceberg. And that's, very easy to find. Many technology teams can say, yes, I can govern the data because I exactly know where it is. But the challenges and the risk really is the bottom of the iceberg, what's below the water. And this is the data that's, is in unstructured formats. These are files, these are, data that's found in text fields, in emails, documents. And that's actually the riskiest part of the data's organization, because they need to know exactly the contents inside of these files. They need to be able to make sure that they're governing this information. So data is, found in more places. It's increasingly in unstructured formats. And the problem is, without proper labeling and classification of this data, no one's going to be able to know exactly what it is and be able to put it in a format that is later consumable within your organization. So really the difficulty identifying, finding this data, and being able to process that information in a timely and efficient way. So certainly many organizations, if they work in silos, that increases the problem because there's no shared ability across business units to really understand the availability of this data. So data is everywhere, but it's not connected. It's not really put into a really singular asset inventory. And the next few slides, I'm going to be talking about some of these traditional techniques in data governance that helps to find the data and helps improve the usability of it. And certainly there's been a lot of technologies certainly to help with this area. So the most fundamental piece of this to really understand what data you have is putting together a data catalog. This is also known as a business glossary or a data inventory. And it's really about knowing what your data is, and in some cases within a catalog where this data is. And there's technologies out there available today that can help automate the discovery and put this information together into one singular view for your business teams, for your technologies teams, to really be able to understand. And there's technologies today that you want to leverage because not only will it automate the discovery and collection of and curation of this data, you want it to be able to, at the same time, enrich it with metadata. You want to be able to classify, tag, label immediately, because it's really the first step in any type of governance program, be able to tag, classify, so that you can then use this data for internal uses. The second piece, as I mentioned earlier, from many of my conversations with customers, is it's great to know what the data is, but what is the quality of that data? Because can it be usable within the organization? So in terms of accuracy and completeness of the data, you want to be able to automatically run data quality scores. And these type of business quality, data quality scores, it can vary because the scores can be in context of the data owner or the data provider. And there's many technologies out there that can, be able to statistically profile these data, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to actually log into a separate database to run your data quality rule engine. You want to holistically see in one place your catalog, immediately see the quality, the completeness of this data to determine whether it's usable today. And there are many machine learning based rules out there that's available to help actually create many of these out of the box rules as well. And third piece of data governance is really about remediation. So you're thinking about how to fix the data as it comes in, where the errors in the data may reside. And this is where data teams may work on root cause analysis to really understand data. But again, technologies out there available today to really look and understand and pinpoint where the outliers in the data is. So it helps that your operation teams really hone in and fix the data at a faster speed. At the end of the day, it's really about visualizing, being able to connect disparate sets of data together to really see the insights. And again, really technology helps that today. And who are the people? Who's the person ultimately responsible for the digital transformation? I see that person as the chief data officer. And what they're looking to do is really have one view and looking for ways to bring together all the, the cataloging, the quality, the remediation, which is traditionally, again, in separate, technology system and tools. They want to see it in one place. They don't want to log into separate systems and then try to piece together and gain the insight and figure out what to do. They want to see this in one place. And if you think about it from a customer perspective, they want one place, one dashboard, one actionable place where they can really understand what the issues are, what the top priorities that need to be taken care of that day. And this is where data discovery really is a concept that is, really the first step to building out their data knowledge, the data assets, in order to make this digital transformation really possible. So, just knowing where their data is, finding out what exactly it is, and being able to understand the quality of that whole process needs to start with data discovery. And you think about the amount of data that's being created from a customer perspective. There's transactional data that's, huge volumes. There's data that's being, collected and, stored in your Salesforce. There's employee data that's in your Workday system. There's, these disparate types of data sources and data types from, all tying back to ultimately one customer. Chief data officers really need a way, automated way, leverage with machine learning to really be able to, find and catalog and automate a lot of this information, their governance tasks. So examples of governance tasks are things like, standardizing business terms. That's something where technology can really help to find similarities and discrepancies within your existing business glossary. And the second biggest piece of manual activity I'll give an example of is the actual mapping of the business terms, which is logical, to actual physical instantiations. So if you have a business term called, customer email address, where exactly in my organization am I storing email address? There's plenty of, tables and schemas and databases that have it, and that's certainly what your technology teams can find, but where exactly in your unstructured formats and files are you saving your email address? And when it comes to, privacy regulations, it's really important and, more critical actually that the unstructured formats that actually store something like email address. So being able to continually monitor and find all those instantiations in an automatic way is what's going to reduce a lot of the manual tasks. So when it comes to machine learning, AI-led discovery, there are new techniques using, content-based classifiers. There's natural language-based classifiers. There's techniques called clustering, which groups together based on attributes on unstructured files, how close and similar things are. Correlation, tying it. Correlation means, you have a entity set, which is, either your customer domain, and being able to find all related similar data attributes that tie to this person. It's been really key. Correlation has been really key, especially for compliance with GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, and the United States, the California Consumer Privacy Act, because privacy information is not just identifiable information, it's also personal information, which is based on context. And that's even harder to find through a direct relation. Personal information, things like your cookie settings or IP address. So most databases would not exactly tie a person to a specific IP address. It's probably through 2 or 3 hops of relations where this information is actually stored. So it makes it more difficult to discover this information and really tie it to your customer. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about understanding the complete attributes for this customer and being able to have this information in hand. So just wanted to give one, use case about how one of our customers, it's a multinational corporation dealing with, retail, media, manufacturing, and how they've been able to really leverage data discovery as their foundation. So obviously compliance with privacy regulations and being able to find their personal and their sensitive data. On top of that, being able to find other critical sensitive data that's tied to their customers. So through this data discovery, they've been able to collate and curate all that information and tie it all back into one singular catalog. Through techniques that are available through correlation and classification, being able to tag and classify every piece of information that is can be pertaining to the customer, their activities, personal information that we've collected from them. All that is tagged and formatted in a way that can then be used by data analysts or within your data science team for a lot of the predictive and customer segmentation. So really being able to form this foundation of a data asset inventory that's completely tagged and labeled and classified properly, and giving data science teams and analyst teams the right analysis needed to find the data later on. And as a result, the chief data officers and many of the executives in the organization, can then focus on building out tactically the right next steps. But it all starts with the foundation of the data that can then be used onwards. So just in summary, in a lot of the digital transformation efforts going on today, really focusing on data as the heart of the transformation, being able to think first about the customer, knowing what the customer needs and wants are, and making sure that any organization can identify all the customer information that they do have on hand. So all the interactions, activities, and transactions with the customer, is easily searchable. And then being able to provide the quality and the trust to the customer is really key within an organization. Being able to know the quality of that data and immediately without actually having to to run that separately and have quality score siloed away from the actual data catalog itself. Many technology groups are looking to build these scalable solutions and making sure that data is accessible in a way to everyone in an organization, and really thinking about all types of data, not just focusing on what's searchable within your relational database, but data that's in your cloud environments now for many organizations, as well as in document form. All that needs to be coming together in one single view in order for your data organizations to really accelerate data transformations. So with that, I think my time is up, but I'm happy to answer transformation is really fueled and based upon data.